8384.
Back here in studio with Greg Foss, Senior Director of Operations at Tandem HR. And Greg, you are the most knowledgeable person, or at least here in studio, the most knowledgeable person about the world of HR. And certainly, all kidding aside, Tandem has been quite involved in educating the business community. Clients and non-clients, it really doesn't matter. That beautiful new website of yours, great blog, great information. And I know here on the air, we benefit and we appreciate all of the information that your team has been providing. And I know our listeners do as well. So many, many thanks for that. But there's something interesting going on. We've talked a little bit about some of the Cook County related issues. We talked about, obviously, the Affordable Care Act, but there's something called the Small Business Efficiency Act, SBEA. Greg, what is that all about?
Sure. It's the SBEA was signed back in late 2014. It was supposed to take effect in 2016, but after some delays, 2017, and it's finally taken effect. What it is it sets up a certification program for PEOs from the IRS. So the IRS allows PEOs to send in some information to get approved to become a certified PEO, and essentially to have the IRS say that we've done some inspections of the certified PEO. What ultimately comes down to is federal tax payments. So when a small business signs up with a PEO, the IRS is saying, as long as you pay the PEO, we will now, all the liability related to any of your federal tax payments will be with the PEO, so you can go home, rest at night, and know that you're paid from a federal tax perspective. Is
this something that Tandem HR supports?
Absolutely. So we received our letters on June 1st of this year that we were officially a certified PEO. So it's exciting news for us.
That's very exciting. So I know on this program we've talked quite a bit about PEOs, professional employer organizations, and its benefits to small businesses. But specifically, what does this mean for the PEO industry? What does this mean for the clients of Tandem HR? How ultimately what everybody cares about is, how does this help me?
Sure. So what it means is essentially that we are now in the IRS tax code. So when new rules, when new laws come out, especially related to anything related to federal employment taxes, PEOs will more than likely be mentioned. So PEOs are going to get a lot more exposure when any of these types of new rules come out. So essentially what it is it's going to get some more exposure. More small businesses out there will start to understand what a PEO is, and hopefully reach out and try to focus on what they do best, which is grow their business and leave the HR compliance and payroll piece to PEO.
So the act is called the Small Business Efficiency Act. So I guess it's a presumption that small businesses will benefit from this. Is this a trend that small businesses are starting to embrace of enrolling with a PEO like Tandem HR, as opposed to trying to do things on their own? Many businesses, it's certainly an understatement to say that many small businesses, including the federal government, I've always had an issue with how small businesses are defined, the size of small business, and it's a whole topic for itself. But small businesses often don't have the resources to have many of their administrative functions able to be handled in-house. Certainly following the regulatory environment is more than a full-time job. So is this something that you're starting to see small businesses embrace?
Absolutely. So if you look at other markets out there, you look at Florida, you look at Texas, California, the term PEO and the PEO market penetration is just completely different than here in Illinois. So it absolutely is a growing trend. What the SBEA does as well is really shows that the IRS is starting to embrace the trend as well. The IRS really doesn't want to have to go to each small business and ask about their employment taxes and ask about, hey, can you help reconcile some things? They also want to talk with an expert when they're actually trying to determine what's going on from an audit perspective. So they're actually recognizing that we would much rather go speak with the experts, go in, get our work done, get everything reconciled, rather than have to go and knock on the doors of the mom and pop shops and look like the bad guys who are coming to collect. So it's certainly a growing trend, and certainly something that we're hoping that more people become familiar with in Illinois.
It's interesting. The IRS is so understaffed and under-resourced, so that makes a lot of sense that they to sort of consolidate that and actually embrace this idea that, yes, PEOs are out there, and that will actually, if they can recognize that will make their job easier. I know a good friend of the program, who's certainly listening tonight, a CPA, has come on the air and talked quite a bit about how the IRS is one of those agencies that for every dollar that's put towards the agency, it actually produces money, more revenue for the government. So she's been advocating for more resources for the IRS, and this is a great idea of a great efficiency. But you mentioned a moment ago, Greg, the how this hopefully will on a state level. This will start to have an impact. Is this something that a similar bill, a similar act should likely be filed on a state-by-state level as well to sort of model itself after the federal Small Business Efficiency Act?
That's the goal. The goal is obviously to take this one step further and to really have state local rules as well. So the federal government's always kind of where to start, and what essentially the goal would be is to go to each state and say, hey, look what the federal government did. These are the benefits. This is what you can benefit at the state level if you really embrace the same concept as well, to uniform the entire process. Well,
Greg, we've got to work slowly because here in Illinois, we just passed the budget after 3 years. So I assume we could have this conversation hopefully over the next few years. But all kidding aside, it's certainly something that will make it easier on small businesses. That's what the show is all about. Greg, we are out of time. I want to make sure our listeners can find your team at Tandem so they can hopefully have all their questions answered. Greg, how can people reach you?
Absolutely. TandemHR.com website. You can go find out what a PEO is, as well as the phone number 630-928-0510.
Absolutely. 630-928-0510. Check out that website that Greg just mentioned, TandemHR.com. Wealth of knowledge, wealth of information. And certainly as the SBEA, the Small Business Efficiency Act, is hopefully replicated here in Illinois. I know our listeners will be looking to your team for more information. We'll be right back with more tips, advice, and information here on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We'll be right back.
It's easy to get